and at trial the jury cannot say to your officer, you're off the hook because you have qualified immunity? That can't be right.
Dirty cops frequently get away with their corrupt actions, but sometimes they pay the price. In this video, we will look at two cases in which dirty cops were sued and fired, starting with the first one, in which a murderer cop had his qualified immunity revoked. On December 2nd, 2011, during an investigatory stop in Tustin, California, police officer Osvaldo Villarreal shot and killed a man named Benny Herrera. Attorneys for Herrera's 4 children, all younger than 7, and parents filed a civil lawsuit against Villarreal in Tustin in 2012. On March 7, 2016, during the Ninth Circuit of Appeals, the judge finally put his foot down and said things that'll leave you amazed.
But Officer Villarreal was required to make a split-second life and death decision.
What required him to do that? It doesn't look to me as though he was the initiator.
The fact that Mr. Herrera, first of all, he had been acting erratically before the shots were fired. He kept his hand in the front pocket of his hoodie sweatshirt. He moved from a place of relative safety on the shoulder of the road into the roadway. He was skipping
But if we're talking about Officer Villarreal, how much did he know about the prior behavior?
He saw all of that. He saw.
I looked at the dash cam from the 2 vehicles. His is the second vehicle that arrives, correct?
Correct.
So he didn't see all of it.
Well, he said that he saw Mr. Herrera on the shoulder of the roadway because he could see that before Officer Miali's car blocked his view of Mr. Herrera. So he's skipping and running backwards in the street, all the while holding his hand in his pocket.
I have to say what you're saying is inconsistent with what I saw on his own camera. That is to say, the point at which he began to get close enough to see anything. Some of that earlier stuff was on the other camera, but not on his.
Well, I don't recall at what point his camera was turned on, but he testified.
His camera was turned on well before he got to the scene.
He testified in deposition that he saw Mr. Herrera on the side of the road, and then he saw. Well,
he can testify to what he wants to testify to, but I want to tell you what I saw on his own camera tells me that the early part of this he did not see, could not see.
I understand your point, Your Honor. He certainly was able to see Mr. Herrera in the street.
The entire interaction, from the first officer's initial encounter with Herrera to the shooting, lasted less than a minute. Villarreal positioned his patrol car next to Herrera and ordered him to show his hands. Less than a second after Villarreal gave this command, he fired 2 fatal shots at Herrera as Herrera's hand emerged from his pocket.
But he had his hand in the front pocket of his hoodie. He was acting strangely. I mean, he was skipping backwards in the street. He was running backwards in the street. And then as the officers moved to box him in, the moment at which he had to make his decision, at the time that he ordered Mr. Herrera to take his hand out of his pocket or to show his hand, his intention was, once the hand was out of the pocket, assuming that Mr. Herrera had calmly stood where he was and moved his hand out of his pocket, his intention was to put Mr. Herrera into a control position, to get him down on his knees or down on his stomach on the ground so that they could take him into custody.
I hear him say, take your hand out of your pocket, and I hear the gunshot almost simultaneously.
Exactly.
They cannot be separated by more than a second.
And that's exactly the time period when Officer Villarreal had to make his decision. Before, he was asked in deposition, well, what were you going to do when you asked him to take his hand out of his pocket? Well, I was going to put him in a control position. That's what he intended to do.
So he's taking his hand out of his pocket.
Yes.
And as he's obeying the officer's command, he gets shot.
But it's the way that he does it, Your Honor. He didn't just stand still and take his hand calmly out of his pocket. As soon as he began to take his hand out of his pocket, he also moved quickly toward the front windshield, the front passenger window of Officer Villarreal's car, and brought his hand up in an arcing motion.
If the perpetrator was not a police officer, he would instantly be charged with murder. It's unbelievable to see how this attorney tried to defend the evil officer.
When Officer Villarreal had to decide, is he doing this peacefully? Or does he have something in his hand that could be a threat to me and is my life in danger?
Well, right.
He had a fraction of a second to make that decision.
Well, don't we have to view this in the light most favorable to the plaintiff here? I mean, and so if we do what you just said right now, offer 2 possibilities. He did it peaceably, or he did it in reaction. So I'm just struggling with, in light of the standard that we have, Mr. Herrera was arguably complying with Officer Villarreal's order to remove his hand from his pocket at the time that he was shot. So if that is the case, how is it that we determine that we should grant?
It allows for the possibility that officers will make mistakes in judgment, and that's exactly what happened here. Officer Villarreal had a choice to make. Do I wait and see whether there's something in the hand that could kill me, or do I shoot? And he made the decision to fire. We know, with the benefit of hindsight, obviously, that that was wrong.
Is it significant that Officer, is it Miali?
Miali.
Didn't fire? Chose not to fire? I mean, it seems like he had a better vantage point possibly than Mr. Villarreal.
He actually didn't, for these reasons. First of all, well, I'll answer your question directly, and then I'd like to go back to the standard. Officer Miali was facing, from his point of view, he saw Mr. Herrera's back, not Mr. Herrera's front. So he couldn't see, and he testified in his deposition that he couldn't see Mr. Herrera's hands as they were coming out of his pocket. Officer Villarreal didn't fire in the direction of anyone other than Mr. Herrera. Mr. Miali would have had to fire potentially in the direction of, in the videos you can see that there are other cars. So there are other people that could have been hit by a bullet from Officer Miali's. Aside from that, Your Honor, the standard is whether or not it was objective reasonable, whether or not every reasonable police officer faced with exactly the same circumstances that Officer Villarreal faced would have concluded that firing under those circumstances would have been a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The fact that one reasonable officer decided not to shoot, and his circumstances are slightly different, but the fact that one person decided not to shoot doesn't mean that it wasn't objectively reasonable.
The lawyer tried her best to justify the fact that the other officer held the gun back when he was actually in a better position to shoot, but she was immediately shut up by one of the judges.
You can lay these out, but we're at a very limited scope here. This is not jury redo. We have to determine based on the facts as alleged by the plaintiff. And
Right.
they're gonna say, no, it was, he simply had his hand in his pocket and these officers were coming up on him really strong. They created the tension, they rose the adrenaline, not him. You have to lay out, take their facts, not the facts as you want. You gotta stick with their facts and explain why under their facts, you win as a matter of law.
I agree, Your Honor.
And right now we're talking about your facts.
As long as
Stick with theirs.
As long as the historic facts are undisputed, the question of whether or not Officer Villarreal's actions were reasonable is a question of law. It's not a question that you give to a jury, because we don't want juries second-guessing the very, very difficult life and death decisions that officers have to make.
We have to accept their version of the facts. So you need to explain under their versions of the facts why, as a matter of law, you win.
Under their version of the facts,
Yes.
Nobody disputes that Mr. Herrera was acting erratically. No one disputes that he was skipping backwards in the street. That's very strange behavior. Nobody disputes that it was almost simultaneous when Officer Villarreal ordered Mr. Herrera to remove his hand from his pocket, that he started moving toward Officer Villarreal's car, and that he had his hand going up in an arcing motion. That's on the video. That's undisputable.
So if we take those facts, you're
Yes.
saying that as a matter of law, the shooting here was legal.
Yes,
Those three
it
facts.
was objectively reasonable.
Police officers are one of the only professions in the world where you can make the mistake of killing someone, use that as an excuse, and still keep your job and avoid prison time. But fortunately, in this case, things went a different way.
The things that they observed heightened the situation to a point where it was objectively reasonable for the officers. Nobody disputes that, for example, that it wasn't objectively reasonable for the officers to have their guns out. They were going to do a felony stop. Domestic violence under California law is a felony. So they had their guns out. There's some question about whether or not there were other alternatives available. Well, in the split second that decision had to be made, you couldn't put the gun down and pick up a baton. You couldn't put the gun down and pick up a taser, assuming that Officer Villarreal even had a taser. I think there's testimony in the record that he didn't have a taser available to him. He had to make a decision based solely on what he knew at the time. And it's easy for us to sit in hindsight and say, Well, Mr. Herrera didn't have a gun. Mr. Herrera didn't really
Counsel,
pose any
I don't think
threat.
anyone here said that.
The standard of review on qualified immunity, again, it allows for reasonable mistakes. And as long as the mistake was objectively reasonable, then Officer Villarreal is entitled to qualified immunity. I'd like to reserve the balance of my time.
Let's hear from the other side, and you will have some time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dale Gallipo, and I'm representing or speaking on behalf of the appellees and the plaintiffs in the underlying case. I think the comment made, a lot of the arguments we believe they're being made here are more appropriate for a jury. Because in this case, there are a host of undisputed facts that we actually think favor the finding of the district court judge.
When we look at what's undisputed, Mr. Herrera, and I think you could say suspiciously, kept his hand in his pocket, and that the officers perceived a heavy object in that pocket. That's...
First part, yes. Second part, a little less clear. But I think there's no question that he had his hand in his pocket.
Well, and both officers said it looked like he had something heavy in his pocket.
Okay.
All right. And then just before Mr. Villarreal opened fire, Mr. Herrera rapidly removed his hand and moved quickly, it seemed like, toward the officer's car.
As the officer's lawyer took time out, the judge tried to question Mr. Herrera's position. But the more they talked about it, the stronger the argument became.
No information that any weapon was involved in a crime. They were specifically told he was not known to carry weapons. He responded to a command. He was given a command. He has a hand in his pocket, and he was giving a command to show his hands or take his hand out of his pocket. The officer was asked, "What was your intention?" "I wanted him to take his hand out of his pocket." He took one reasonable inference again is he took his hand out of his pocket in compliance with the command of the officer. When he took his hand out of his pocket, he had nothing in his hand. Another reasonable inference is that the officer could see that he had nothing in his hand before he fired his shots.
And what do you say in response to opposing counsels that he's entitled to make a reasonable mistake?
Defense would argue that an officer is entitled to a reasonable mistake, and that's the end of the analysis. I think for purposes here, one has to look at the facts supporting the plaintiff's version and then decide whether one can say as a matter of law that the shooting is justified. Under our version, both hands were visible, and he had nothing in his hands, and he was shot twice and killed. We specifically asked the officers about their training, and they conceded, which is included in the cites in our brief, that deadly force is a last resort, only to be used in the direst of circumstances, only when no other reasonable measures are available, and that a warning that deadly force is going to be used should be given when practical.
When the other lawyer came back, something in her was different, and her points went from irrelevant to completely absurd.
Juries should not be put in a position of second guessing whether or not an officer acted in a reasonable manner or not. The only province of the jury is to decide the undisputed facts, and I would submit that we don't really have any material undisputed facts in this case. We can see what happened on the video.
But counsel, we have jury trials on this all the time, and the police officer will bring in their use of force expert, and Mr. Gallipo will bring in his use of force expert to talk about what should have happened. I mean, juries do make determinations.
But they're not making determinations on qualified immunity, and that's the only issue in this appeal, qualified immunity, and whether or not the actions of Officer Villarreal were objectively reasonable in light of all of the circumstances.
You said something that confused me. The jury does not get to decide qualified immunity?
Qualified immunity is a question of law for the court.
And at trial, the jury cannot say to your officer, you're off the hook because you have qualified immunity? That can't be right.
It's my understanding that the application of qualified immunity is a question of law.
Well, it is a question of law on undisputed facts or facts taken in favor of the other side. But I've never understood it to be outside the province of the jury when it goes to trial to say that the officer does not have qualified immunity.
The jury has to decide the underlying predicate facts.
I understand that, but I think I'm arguing on your point if we send this back. I don't think you want to say qualified immunity is no longer available to you at trial.
Absolutely not.
Well, I think that's what you just said. That's why I'm speaking up.
That was not my intention at all. And if the jury were to return a verdict against Officer Villarreal, I think that he would have the opportunity to file a motion for a judgment notwithstanding the verdict on qualified immunity.
Everything goes bad for your client. That is to say, if we send it back, if the jury says no qualified immunity, and if the jury comes in with an award of some amount of damages, will your client pay those damages out of his own pocket, or will it be paid by his employer?
It should be 99.9% of the times it's paid by the employer. I don't see why it would be different.
Well, by
in
statute,
this-
California statute says it's paid by the employer unless they're punitives.
Yes,
Isn't that right?
that was what I was going to say.
So that doesn't say 99%, it says 100.
Well, I was going to say, unless there were, if there
Unless they're
were
punitives.
If there were punitive damages, the city would have the option of deciding whether to pay those punitives. My understanding is that
At that point, I got the answer, got it right. At that point, I think the employer has the option, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counsel.
It was ruled that Villarreal could not reasonably claim self-defense, as he shot Herrera less than a second after ordering him to show his hands, which the court found to be excessive force. If you think this officer had it bad, then wait until you see the next officers. Although they didn't get fired, they were completely owned by the people they were trying to harass.
So that's what I'm investigating. So again, you got your ID on you.
No, it's not illegal.
So I gotta make
I didn't break any laws.
On May 13th, 2023, Deputy Hudson and another officer from the Sussex County Sheriff's Office pulled over a local landowner named Robert Huffman near his property in Sussex County, Virginia. The officer started to impinge upon Robert's rights, but the way he shut the officers up is worth watching.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
I was doing fine. What's the problem?
I got a shooting range or something over there?
My property.
Yeah. I ain't coming to attitude. I'm filing a complaint that somebody filed.
Okay.
Do you have a shooting range over there and everything?
No, just my property.
That's your property?
Yeah.
Okay, is people currently shooting over there now?
What's going on?
So we get a call of shots fired in the area.
They were in the county.
Yeah. Listen, anytime shots fired in the area, you got the ID on you, sir?
I haven't committed a crime.
Right now, there's an investigation going on, sir, for
Watch
shots
yourself,
fired in
please.
the area, and I need to know who I made contact with.
I haven't committed a
I'm
crime.
with Sussex Sheriff. I identify myself.
I haven't committed a crime.
Sir, what's your name?
I haven't committed a crime.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Rob. It's a pleasure to
Rob,
meet you, Hudson. Yes,
okay.
sir.
How long you live up there or just land?
Just land.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so originally called is shots fired in the area. Anytime shots fired in the area, we got to come. If it's hunting, hunting time, we get a lot of calls. So
Okay.
we have to investigate because we don't know what's going on. I don't know that there's land back there. I don't know that that it belongs to you. I don't know that you shooting back there or whatever. I don't know that stuff. So I have to investigate. When a citizen calls, we have to investigate.
Okay.
So that's what I'm investigating. So again, you got your ID on you.
No, it's not illegal.
I gotta make
I didn't break any laws.
Yeah, so we got to call a red truck that shots fired in the area.
Okay.
So again, I'm investigating. It's an ongoing investigation. So do
What
you
crime?
have shots fired in the area?
That's a crime?
Yes,
In
sir.
the county?
Ran the roadway and the houses in the area.
Oh,
yes,
no,
sir.
no, there was never any.
Okay, I don't know that yet. I
That's
haven't
not
went
true.
back there. The only thing I got is a red truck. So I have to
I'm
make.
just gonna exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
The longer those deputies talked, the dumber they looked. After a while, you just start feeling embarrassed about the fact that they're even allowed in law enforcement.
I don't consent to any searches or seizures.
I'm not searching this. I need to know. Do you have your ID on you? I need to know who I made contact with, sir.
I haven't broken a law. Can you articulate a law that I've broken?
Right now, you must identify yourself, sir, because I have made contact and there's an
I haven't
ongoing
broken a
investigation.
law. I'm exercising my Fifth Amendment right.
So
I'm
you're
not answering any
now
questions.
you're refusing to identify yourself to me.
You haven't articulated a crime.
Is an ongoing investigation of shots
What's the
fired in the
crime?
area, sir.
That's not a crime. It's in the county.
You're missing the whole point, sir.
I am not giving up my Fifth Amendment right.
So
You're not
that
gonna
land
violate my Fourth
belongs to
Amendment
you.
right.
That land belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any backstops behind any shooting that's going on back there?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
This
What
is
about
my
the
question.
First, second, and third?
All right.
I bet you don't.
If you want to assert your rights, I have no problem with
I'm
that.
being
okay?
illegally detained at this point.
Okay. Well, we're in the middle of an investigation.
Of
okay?
what crime? It's not a crime. You can't even articulate a crime. I have no obligation to assist you in your investigation. You know?
Okay. So my question to you is this: you want to ask me a bunch of questions, but you don't want to answer any of my questions.
Yeah, that's
Why
your
are you being
job.
difficult?
I'm a citizen in America, and we have the Constitution. I know
Okay,
y'all don't
but that doesn't
believe in that
answer why
anymore.
you're being so difficult.
I don't have to answer any of your questions, officer.
Okay, I just want to know what your issue is. Why you don't want to talk to us?
I
That's
don't
my
like
question.
police. I'm sorry. I think
Okay.
you guys are tyrants.
Okay.
Yeah. If y'all actually upheld the Constitution like you swore an oath to do, then yeah, I would answer questions. But y'all don't do that anymore. You're tyrants anymore.
This officer was beyond ignorant. It's unbelievable that people like these are supposed to protect our rights when they don't even understand them.
I know y'all are sitting here wanting to ID me and violate my constitutional rights.
Okay, but getting your ID is not violating your
Yes,
rights.
it certainly is. That's the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution.
And how?
How is it?
Yeah.
Because I don't have to have any searches or seizures. You can't search or seize anything unless I've been suspected of a crime.
Okay.
Am I suspected of a crime?
I'll leave that up to my partner, sir.
There you go. You got to articulate a crime, and I'd be happy to ID myself if you can articulate a crime that I've broken or done something wrong.
Okay. Well, technically we have enough to stop you for the incident that we're investigating, and technically, if you want to get into the aspects of the law, you're just driving down the road. We have a right to see your driver's license registration. There's a Supreme Court case law on that.
Yeah, if I violated the law.
Okay.
What's the law? What's the law that I violated?
Operating a vehicle on the roads of the Commonwealth.
That's against the law?
It's not against the law.
Well, then what
But
the fuck do you need my ID
once you've
for?
been,
Am I free to leave?
So this is the rule. I'm gonna print out the laws of Sussex County. I'm gonna put it on that fence. It is regulations that have to follow. We are gonna report it. They are gonna come and investigate your area that you're shooting over there. Again, I'm gonna take a picture. My body camera right here.
I don't want you to trespass on my property.
Listen, sir.
Okay.
Again, shots was fired in their area. Their homes right there. You can't shoot within a certain feet of the homes. So if y'all are in violation of that, you will be charged. Okay?
There's still no crime.
Yes, it is a crime. You can't shoot within certain feet of a home, sir.
How many feet was I in?
You're good to go, sir. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
thank you. Y'all take care. Stay safe.
After letting Robert go, the officers arrived at his property, where Robert's father, Michael Huffman, was hanging out with Robert's permission. As you would expect, their interaction did not go smoothly.
How you doing? My name is Deputy Hudson with the Sussex Sheriff Department. Listen, sir. My name is Deputy Hudson with the Sussex Sheriff Department, sir. We got a complaint from a neighbor right here, and right here.
Get fucking get over it. We're out here. We're 200 yards from anything near us, and we're firing into the ground.
You gonna let me talk, or you gonna finish?
I'm gonna finish. You are trespassing. You are not allowed on this property. The gate was closed.
Sir, you got your ID on you?
I don't have to give you ID.
Sir.
The Constitution says I don't have to give you an ID unless I have broken a law.
Sir.
6-3 Sussex, got a gang tag for you.
Go ahead.
Do y'all own this residence right here, sir?
Yes.
Who owns it?
My son and I own
Okay, what's your name?
it. Again,
I don't know if you trespass or not. What's your name, sir?
my name is...
Your son's on it.
We our family own it.
Okay, so did he give you permission to come out here?
You just pulled him over.
I don't know.
No, you pulled him over 5 minutes ago.
Sir, did he give you permission to be out here?
Yes, he has, but I have permission. You don't get to my property.
So he gave you permission to be out here, sir?
Yes.
Can you
And
call him and he can tell you that he gave you
You
permission?
just pulled him over.
Did he give you permission to be
Did
out
you
here,
or
sir?
did you not pull
Sir,
him
did
over?
he
Not
give you
5
permission?
minutes
No,
ago.
he didn't identify himself. I don't know who he is. Did he give you permission to be out here, sir?
I have permission to be
Can
on
you
my
call-
own property.
Can you call and verify that he gave you permission?
He's being an
I'm not, sir. I'm trying to figure out that this is the people that's supposed to be out here.
This tyrant thinks you are guilty until proven innocent. How can someone be trespassed if nobody asked them to leave? He didn't even have enough intelligence to consider that possibility.
So calm down, sir. You need a medic?
Hey, I've got this cops here trespassing on our truck on our property. Wants to know whether or not I have permission to be here. Can you tell them I'm so bad? And I've been telling him the same thing. To
So
get
who's
fuck
the
off
owner of the property?
He is.
What's
Get
his
the
name?
fuck off my property.
What's his name, sir?
Get the fuck off my property.
So are you the owner or he the owner?
Our family owns this property. Our family owns this property.
What is
Get
your
the
family name, sir?
I've told you that 3 goddamn
You got your
times.
ID on you?
No. That's it. I ain't dealing with it. Get off your property.
You have your ID on you, sir?
Sir, him.
So we're trying to figure out who property this belongs because it looks like some
I've
abandoned
told you
property.
5 God-
Do you have your
times
ID
you
on you, sir?
I don't need an ID.
Okay, so sir, maybe I can talk to you. This is where it goes. You got a second? We don't know who owns this property. We got people call here and say shots fired over here. This property is technically abandoned. So before I leave, I have to put something in the computer that I talked to such and such, and this is belongs to. If this is your property, you're not here. Somebody comes over here and shooting on your property. I don't do anything about it. How are you gonna feel?
Hey, leave.
Sir, I can't leave right now because of the open investigation.
You're trespassing.
Sir, you might want to calm down before you go to jail, sir.
Get the hell off my property.
Sir, turn around, put your hands behind your back. Turn around, put your hands behind your back for destruction and not cooperating with law enforcement.
Stop it.
No, sir. No, he's not gonna curse me out. I haven't been disrespectful.
All right, wait a minute. Stop.
No, sir.
I have a
No,
weapon.
sir.
I have a weapon in my pocket.
That's fine, sir.
Okay, it's unloaded weapon in my pocket right here.
Right here. Here you go.
This stupid bastard is putting me in handcuffs. You don't need to get that.
There you go. 740 suspect, show one in custody. Come on, sir. I'm gonna read you your rights. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say will or can be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to talk to a lawyer, have him present with you while you are being questioned.
The dumb cop not only harassed the poor father, but also arrested him for speaking up. It's like he wanted him to act up so he could put him in cuffs. Absolutely disgraceful.
You got your ID on you, sir.
Doesn't matter whether I got ID. You're not getting it until you prove to me that I've done something illegal. What have I done illegal?
First, you refuse to cooperate. You refuse to give me...
No, I refuse because you were trespassing on private property. You were trespassing.
You got anything in your power you gonna poke me, stick me, or hurt me?
I don't know.
Okay. If I hurt myself, you will be charged.
Nothing unusual.
Okay.
You're ignorant.
Yes, sir.
You're the God you are. Do not open that. No, sir. You have no right to open that. I don't want to stand here all day. I have a bad heart. You're with me. These are, instead of taking care of the property, people down there setting fire and trespassing, they want to trespass.
7-4.
Virginia Orwell, Tango 6.
Unlawful arrest, retaliation, deprivation of rights. This cop went all in, and yet he was standing there proud of what he had done.
Can't believe y'all are trespassing.
Any fellas? At this point, we don't know who the land belongs to.
We're just trying to investigate a complaint, sir. That's all we're trying to do, okay?
Well, then why didn't you investigate the complaint last week when they come in here and burn our
We're
woods
not
and burn our
We're
property?
talking about today, sir.
We're talking about today, sir. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's how we gotta do it sometimes, all right? You take a hand and we turn it the other way. That way it won't hurt your wrist as much, okay?
Whatever. I can't see what you're doing.
Okay. Take a hand and turn it this way so the top of your hands together. That way it won't hurt your wrist as much, okay?
Once you take the d***s off, I ain't going nowhere.
That's up to my partner here, sir. All right? He's gonna charge you with obstruction or not, okay?
Now again, who owns the land?
My son and our family.
Who physically on the paperwork?
Rob.
Okay,
Son.
long as Rob said, hey, you got permission.
You just heard him. You talked to him.
I don't know if that's Rob. I don't physically know him. Failure to cooperate with law enforcement, failure to give you information. You have a, come on. No, come on, sir.
Get my phone. Give him the rest. Give him the rest of my stuff. Give him my billfold.
You got your ID on you, sir? Okay, all right.
Give him everything. Keys, everything. Take my revolver and put it away too, son.
Come on, sir.
You're just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been shooting too. 308? No, that's 9mm. Tinker toy.
All right, stand right here for a second, sir.
You can tell that this officer wanted to get back at Robert for not identifying himself because his tiny ego couldn't handle someone who stands up for his rights and doesn't bow down to his commands.
This is my question, Mr. Huffman. Are you ready to talk yet?
About what?
The property. This is the thing.
Like I said, my wife My son's wife was raised in that trailer
And
right there
listen,
all of her life. And
So
I tried to explain it to anyone.
did you give me your ID? We had to basically go through this whole process. So check this out. Somebody comes out here and shoot on your property, right? I come out here, I say, hey, why are you shooting out here? This is my property. I let them go. You call the police and say, hey, somebody was shooting out there. Guess what? I don't have their ID. I don't have the information, so now I'm not able to identify that it was on your property.
Whatever happened to you not trespassing on the property?
We got a call and we have to follow through. You the owner of this property?
I'm not answering any questions.
Okay, sir. Well, I don't know if you're the owner of the property. Please step back away from me, sir.
Trespassing.
So, are you the owner of this property?
Trespassing.
Are you the owner of this property?
You're the only one trespassing.
Are you the owner of this property?
You're the only one
Are you the owner of this property,
I'm
sir?
not answering any of your
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, so you're going to arrest my father? Because y'all are trespassing on my
Sir, are you the owner of this property, sir?
I'm not answering any questions.
Do you have your ID on you, sir?
I'm not answering any
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to leave, sir, if you're not the owner of this property.
Okay, I'm the owner of the property.
Okay, then do you have your ID so I can identify that you're the owner of the property?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to leave, sir.
No, I'm asking you to leave. How
No.
are you going to kick me off my property?
Because you're not identifying yourself that
I
you're the
don't
owner of this
have to.
property. That's fine,
I
sir.
don't have
So I'm going to
to.
ask you to get in your truck and leave, sir.
No, I'm asking you to leave.
No, are you the owner of this property?
I have no signs right
Are-
there.
are you the owner of this property?
I told y'all not to come on my
Are
property.
you the
and
owner of
you're
this property,
trespassing.
sir?
I want to see your supervisor.
Are you the owner of this property? Are you the owner of the property? So at this time, sir, if you're not willing to identify yourself, I'm going to ask you to leave, sir.
There is no obligation to show ID or to prove you own the property. They have to prove you don't have the right to be there. But as we have already established, Officer Hudson did not have the mental faculties to have such sensible thoughts.
Leave, sir.
Hudson.
Okay, turn around, put your hands behind your back, sir. Thank you.
I want to see your supervisor. Jared, will you hold this camera? Hold it up.
Right now, it's for evidence. Right now, it's his property, so I'm gonna hold on to it.
Do you have
turn
a warrant?
around, put
Do you have a warrant?
I'm
for my
holding on to
property?
your property right now, sir.
Video
you-
record everything.
Can you?
They're tyrants.
I'm gonna take
They're
your.
breaking the law.
Listen,
right
sir, I'm
now.
gonna take your
You're
watch off
violating
because
my
I can't put your handcuffs on. Okay.
Violating my rights. You're violating my rights. What's your name? Dominic? I told y'all not to come on my property. I told y'all not to come on my property. Please comply with these verbal orders. I told y'all not to come on my property. I told you not to come on my property. How so what are you arresting me for? Trespassing?
Right now, you're being detained, sir.
For
To identify
trespassing?
you, sir. No, I'm
For
not. No,
trespassing?
sir.
So
Why
how
we got
about-
him?
Are you?
Do you have any weapons on you? That's
Yes, I do.
What
I
you
have a 9mm Glock on my right side.
Okay. I'm gonna take it off your right side. Okay.
Come here and videotape these guys.
Stand right here, sir, and stop.
Lean against the car for me, please.
Stand right here, sir.
Stand right there and relax, okay?
Don't muzzle flash.
Stand right here, sir.
You don't know how to use
Stand right here, sir, and calm down.
Please.
Calm down.
Please calm down.
Calm down. Turn around. You're moving back, sir. You're not being compliant.
I'm
Okay.
complying. You muzzle flash me. Y'all don't know how to use firearms? You fucking pointed that gun at me.
Sir, stop cursing me
It's
before you receive a charge.
I have the freedom of speech.
No, you
okay?
don't.
I don't have the freedom of speech on my property. Video record this, Jared.
You got anything on you that's gonna poke me, stick me, or hurt me, sir?
Yeah, I got these nuts in your mouth.
Okay, sir.
I hope your mom's proud of you, you fucking tyrant.
All of this was nothing more than a tyrant's need for control and power over an old man. The Huffmans will be filing a lawsuit against the tyrant, and I think it's going to be an easy victory for them. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think the Huffmans would win the battle? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one we have in store for you. Thanks for watching. This is Detective Mystery, signing off.